To the cloud. Phenomenal. So now this thing records to the cloud. Speaking of technology, doing its thing. Before it would record to my laptop, now it records to the cloud. It doesn't occupy any space. But hey guys, that was a really random intro. Who cares? Welcome back to another episode of the Moss Performance Podcast. I got Coach Brett again here. I'm super excited. If you know anything about kettlebells, FMS, being strong, or training smart, you know Coach Brett. He's the director of education at StrongFirst. And in this episode, we're going to be diving into Iron Cardio 2.0, redefined take on the most brutally simple and effective training protocols out there. I was just telling them I did Iron Cardio for months and I was able to press the 48 kilo a bunch of times overhead. I'm going to keep that number a mystery just because I don't know why. I don't want to show off, but it was at least like 57 presses overhead. Kenny, if you're listening to this, you know it's true. So we're gonna catch up with Coach Brett. I haven't talked to him in a while. Last time I saw him was I think last year in downtown LA. He was
Yep.
coaching a seminar for Equinox, and we met at a hotel coffee shop at like 6 a.m. or something. Coach Hector was there too, so shout out to Coach Hector. Coach, how are you doing?
Fantastic. Just moving along, and I can't believe we're at the end of May already. Just feels like it's
Finally.
been a blink. Had my 5-year cancer CT scans, and got good news on those, and have to follow up with an endoscopy just to check on a little something. Might be some little acid reflux that I'm not aware of. Little thickening down at the end of the esophagus. So, and once you've had cancer a couple times, they just check everything. So I'll get that done, and that'll be fine. But yeah, good news on the 5-year cancer scans, and like we were talking a little bit before we hit record, June 28th will be the 5-year mark from my first iron cardio session post cancer treatment. And so I've been following the same program for 5 years. So who can say that they've followed the same program for 5 years? Um, and iron cardio, I would say volume 2, not 2.0,
Oh, volume two. Sorry.
because it's an in addition to, not a better than conversation. The classic and the everything that's in volume 1 still solid and effective. Volume 2 is just going to take it and expand it. And I'm going to be a little, I'll give you an exclusive before anything goes live, but I'll be a little elusive in answering exactly what's going to be in Volume 2.
Guys, I don't want you guys to hate me, but I know all the secrets. He gave me a blueprint of the volume two. It's on my laptop. So if you want the copy, come steal my laptop. That's all I'm gonna say. Actually, no, that's a lie, guys. Don't steal my laptop. Please stay away from my stuff. So it's just quick background before we even get going into the volume two. Would you like giving a quick background of what iron cardio is, just so to people that didn't listen to episode one or for some reason been living
Sure.
under a rock, no idea what iron cardio is?
Absolutely. So, post actually back in 2014, I think, 13 or 14, Pavel and Alexei Sinart published an article called Strength Aerobics, a Powerful Alternative to HIIT, or High Intensity Interval Training. And Alexei and Pavel had kind of put this together as a training option for somebody in a military group that was going to be observing other people for a time, and they had to stay in one place. And um, the idea was, take a kettlebell, something that you press 10 times, and you're just going to clean it, press it, squat it, set it down, shake it off. Other side, clean it, press it, squat it, set it down, shake it off. And so, really, from that point that I had read that article, I had some of these strength aerobics workouts in the mix. Um, and so, prior to having cancer and treatment, losing 40 pounds and having to kind of restart my training, um, I would do some of these strength aerobic sessions, and I had built out a couple of variations already, but I was doing it on the clock, and I was, I wasn't building this out the way that I did. So fast forward into June of 2020, I start my training again after cancer treatment. And, initially I thought, okay, body weight. I'm going to do pull ups and push ups and body weight work. And that's how I'm going to rebuild because, I was 40 pounds lighter. I was looking forward to pull ups being much easier. Um, and that was not the case because I was very weak and I'd lost a lot of muscle. And so I started in some body weight workouts. I'm like, this doesn't feel like it's the right thing. Um, then I was like, okay, swings and get ups. I'm going back to simple and sinister program minimum, just going to do my swings and get ups. I wasn't strong enough to be powerful yet. I know how to produce force. That skill, I might not have been, my tissues weren't ready for it. My system just wasn't ready, but I know how to produce tension. So I was not strong enough to really be powerful the way the swing asks you to be. So I said, okay, well, how am I going to reset my strength base? I went back to the strength aerobics protocol. And in the process of starting down that path, I built out what became the original iron cardio um, approach. And so clean press squat became clean press squat snatch, became traveling twos, moving target, single bell, double bell, adding pull ups. The permutations grew, and that fits me. I'm not a very structured trainee. I don't have goals. I know half the people listening to the podcast probably just fainted. What do you mean you don't have a goal? Yeah, I don't have a goal. My goal is to train. I enjoy training.
Weren't
Um,
you going for Big Glute Summer this year? You told me off
big.
the Big Glute Summer because nobody's ever written a song about small butt.
I think I'm very proportional at the moment. Yeah, it's funny because I don't train for an aesthetic reason. I don't train. I'm not trying to accomplish anything. I'm excited to do my next session. And I think if we step back from like a 30,000 foot view perspective, I think a lot of people, you hit a point where what is the next goal,
Yeah,
right? And if the only reason you train is because that goal is hanging out there in the distance and you're making progress towards it, I get it. But if you can do 100 push-ups, what's next? 200? If you can do 200, what's next? If you can run a 5K, what's next? Faster 5K, 10K, and you reach a point where and I recognized both in nail bending and in powerlifting, like there comes a point where the nail will win.
yeah,
You're as
that's true. That's true.
you're gonna hit stuff you can't bend,
Yeah, yeah,
and you're gonna reach a weight where the cost that's associated with hitting that next PR, it's not worth it. I'm not getting paid to lift, right? I'm not getting paid to bend a nail. I'm not getting paid for the next squat PR. So at a certain point, training, you have to train because you love training.
yeah.
And I love training. I love I have to actually sit down and convince myself not to do iron cardio session after iron cardio session because I know I need to take a break from some of the overhead loading and
Yeah,
different things. Like I have to force myself to have a swing day or a snatch day or a day where I go for a walk. Like I would really just rather pick up a bell and press it and squat it and snatch it and do my next session. So like I just enjoy training. And so I don't have a goal. I'm not pursuing anything yet. I feel like my base of training would allow me to go in multiple directions and be successful. So um, yeah, kind of the original goal of iron cardio was rebuild my strength, gain back my muscle mass that I had lost over the course of treatment, and really just kind of reset from training or from cancer treatment and get back into training. And the kettlebell's been my preferred tool since late 2001, and it just succeeds time and time again.
do you do any barbell training at all, Coach?
I have not. I have not been. I pursued some barbell training in when I did my SFL, and just
Mm.
wanted to go in ready to meet the standards and have a good experience at my SFL. I'm the director of education, but I have taken, I've been teaching kettlebells for a long time, and we started the barbell and body weight certifications as StrongFirst launched, and I went through those as well as a student and had to pass the standards and do everything because we had instructors that were more skilled at those tools than I was at the time. And so it gave me the experience of being the student. And I think that's one that we should always keep in mind, of being a student and keeping the blade sharp.
Yeah,
But yeah, I haven't touched a barbell in quite a while.
really.
Yep.
I mean, just kind of to piggyback off what you said earlier today when you're talking about like you having to hold yourself back from training. I think that's one of the things I like about the kettlebell so much. Also, like as I get older, the more I've just trained with kettlebells, and the less they seem to beat your body up, which I appreciate. Like I like getting up to for work the next morning and not feeling like, wow, my quads and my hammies and my calves are absolutely destroyed. And I think I'm at the point where I've built up enough volume and enough base where I can get away with doing 100 swings. I can get away with an iron cardio session. I can do 100 snatches and be fine the next day. There's obviously going to be some fatigue, especially with those days where you feel extra fresh. And you're like, okay, I'm going to push the pace a little bit today. Like I'm still going to do the same volume, but now I'm going to push the pace. Got these snatches done like my 5 snatches done in, I don't know, a second, 2 seconds earlier. And I think like once that starts to compound itself and people don't look at that, um, it makes a big difference. It's reminding me of a post I did a couple weeks back where, what was it? Something like, does one rep really make a difference? And I'm trying to remember what point I was trying to make. And it's based off of a lot of your principles from iron cardio, because I think people tend to overlook the the effect or the power of a single rep. If I could find it, I can talk about it. Did I not post it? Oh no, there it is. Yeah, does one rep, extra rep, um, matter? Yeah, and I dove into it. Whatever. Long story short, I dove into it, and at the end of the day, like once you start adding all the like the total load and extra rep makes a big difference. But still, the kettlebell makes me feel good.
Yeah, to capitalize on that for just a second, I have it in the original Iron Cardio book that some progressions are not linear; they're exponential.
Yeah.
So adding a rep is not just adding a rep; it can have an exponential effect. So doing the classic clean press and squat, you add that snatch at the end. Yeah, that's not one extra rep in a linear change. That is an exponential change. You go to traveling twos, the new sliding singles. You go double bell versus single bell, and those one rep or that one, what you perceive to be one notch difference, is not one notch. It is an exponential change. And if we run the numbers just a little bit, if we think of just the classic, clean press and squat, 3 reps per set. If you do 40 sets, right? That's 120 total reps, right? 40 times 3. Still the math still works, right?
40 times three,
Um,
guys.
somebody check that.
Please
Um,
can, yep, ChatGTP
but
says it's
you
correct.
you take that into clean press squat snatch, 4 reps per set. Now you're 160 reps, 4 times 40. Now you do traveling twos plus snatch. Now you're at 5 reps per set. Now you're at 200 reps. And if you take that, I've done 60 set sessions that turned out to be 300 rep sessions. And I'm accomplishing those 300 reps within a good density, sub 40 minutes for that, 35 to 40 minutes for those 60 sets and those 300 reps. Like the volume, I used to consider myself a low volume trainee, but what I've discovered is that I can push the volume to a significant degree and accomplish really high workloads. Um, I was sitting down with Victor Carrillo, who's our representative in StrongFirst, senior team leader down in Costa Rica, and we were sitting down. I'm eating empanadas, and we're talking
Oh,
about training. God, I love empanadas.
dude.
Um, and
What's
we're
your favorite
talking.
flavor? Do you have
I'm
a
I'm
favorite
a
empanada?
empanada beef. I'm just a
Beef.
classic beef empanada guy. I'll eat anything that you fry in dough,
Okay.
but beef empanada preferred. Um, Unless it's a spicy chicken empanada, and then
Have
I can be convinced.
Have you had pineapple empanadas?
Oh, no, but now I want one.
When you're in
Thanks for
LA,
that.
I'm gonna get you a box when you're in LA.
Awesome. I love it. So, yeah, I was sitting down, we were talking training. I had done a military press ladder session, and that's where we ladder the military press up to three, keep repeating that ladder. And I had done 60 sets. That's 120 presses. I've done that with a 32 and a 36 kilo. And so that's a lot of volume. And then you add in the cleans and the squats, and now you're at a 300 rep session with a lot of press emphasis, and so the volume can really get big. And I had become a little too enamored of the 60 set sessions. That was just kind of where I kind of wanted to always hit that.
Agree. Yeah.
But then I needed more recovery between sessions, and I would rather do a little less and do it more frequently because I enjoy training. But I use that strategy if I'm going to travel. So if I have a trip coming up where I know I'm not going to train for a few days, then I'll do a consistent training for a few days and finish with a kind of a really high volume session, like a pressing ladder or a sliding single or something like that, um, and do a really high volume session where I know I'm going to want a few days to recover from it. Then I just let the trip happen. I don't stress about training. Then I come back and get into it.
I, I I mean, this is gonna step a little bit away from just iron cardio, but I think that's one of the great things about StrongFirst methodology and its principles and all its programming. I made a deal with myself because I'm gonna be away for like 11, 12 days from training, that I was gonna train one or two times, and I'm currently doing the battleship mixed with a little bit of iron cardio here and there. Um, so I looked at, like, I didn't roll the dice. Sorry, people. I know I'm breaking the rules, but I looked at a really low volume session just because I'm not sleeping like I normally do. Like I came for a graduation party for one of my best friends, and I went to bed at like 3:40 a.m. I can't remember the last time I did that willingly. Like I stayed up because I can't sleep, but so went to bed really late. I woke up like at 10:30. I felt like I was hungover. I didn't drink a single ounce of alcohol because I don't drink. um, I'm also like not eating as much. I'm not fueling, so I don't feel the same. So chose one of the low volume sessions. I felt great. That's it. If I get to train again this week, it's fine. If I don't, it's okay. But um, I think that there's a lot there, right? Where you can either train really hard if you're not gonna, or get a high volume session ahead of time if you're not gonna be able to train for the next week or whatever. So if you're gone for 4 days, or actually make a deal with yourself, or anytime I'm on a trip, I also kind of just, I know I'm going to be walking a lot, so I'm like, cool, I'm going to become a cardio junkie for the next, I don't know, like week or 2 weeks or whatever the case is, and I'm going to eat whatever I see in sight, and it's totally fine. It's not a big deal, but I really like what you just said there, Coach.
Yeah,
Let
I think over the years, I think that's been a recurring theme. In fact, I used to get emails from people like, "How do you travel with your kettlebells?" And I'm like, "It's super easy. I don't." Um, because who would want to lug a 24 or 32 kilo bell with them? Like, I have a couple funny travel stories about kettlebells, but anyway, the I think that, and then if you're going to on a vacation, um, now training can fit into a vacation. Absolutely. Last year we were in Cape May. I ended up having three short but really fun sessions. They had some nice kettlebells at this place. And so I had three, shorter but really nice training sessions, which I enjoyed. Uh, the time we were there before, didn't touch a bell. I didn't touch anything. I laid on the beach and relaxed and didn't worry about it. So I think that you can ruin a vacation real quick by trying to force the square peg in the round hole and trying to
Yep,
force I have to continue my training. It's 1 week.
be fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're not going to lose your gains. You'll be back. I promise you.
Exactly. And
I,
that's, the difference between being bedridden in a hospital for a week and actually being up, moving, walking, being active on a vacation. those are two very different things, but people equate them. They think if they're not training, they're just degrading. Right? Not the case.
I honestly, even though like my sleep's crap when I travel and my eating isn't up to par as it quote unquote is supposed to be, oftentimes when I come back from vacation, I feel even better from training. Like I actually feel very recovered.
Yeah.
Nothing hurts. I'm not sore. I'm mentally fresh. I'm like, dude, let's PR right now. I'm gonna PR from, from this. Um, Coach, I'm gonna start asking you stuff about iron cardio too. I know you said you weren't going to reveal a lot, but I'm still going to ask a lot of questions. Um, uh,
Let's do
I,
it.
I guess like you start mentioning sliding ones. What can you share what that is? Because that's not in the first one, right? In volume one.
Correct. It is not, and that's actually a progression. I have to look up who did it, but one of the whether there's a really long iron cardio thread on the StrongFirst forum, and I people have come up with some really good variations, and this is one of them where like it's kind of that transition between traveling twos bumps the volume a little bit. Sliding single can really change it. So sliding traveling twos, a set of two travels through the sequence. So two clean, one press, one squat, one clean, two press, one squat, one clean, one press, two squat. Sliding single kind of flips that. Now a set of one goes through the sequence. So now it's one clean, two press, two squat, two
Okay, all
press,
right.
two clean, one press, two squat, two cleans, two presses, one squat. And just that little shift in volume. Now you're solidly at 5 reps per sequence, but you're still just doing the clean press and squat. And for those of you that are wondering, yes, I did test it with plus snatch. And because I suck at math, I didn't do the math right. Because, 1, 2, 2 is 5 reps.
Yeah,
Well, 1, 2, 2, 2, right,
it's
is
seven,
7 reps.
one plus
And
two.
one of the things that has proven itself time and time again from the first edition is this concept of 3 to 5 reps per set
Yeah.
is the optimal range. Anytime I start going outside of that and hitting 6 or 7 reps per set, it's too much. It kind of ruins the flow. It's yeah, it's just too much. And so I did the test. You don't have to do it. Sliding singles not a great idea plus snatch unless you're going very light. And
Okay.
I don't like going light. So I'm always pushing, the original strength aerobics recommendation was a value press 10 times. I think a 5 or 6 RM, and I venture into a 2 or 3 RM at times where I'm really training heavy because the 40 kilo is a heavy bell for me, and I can press it, but I don't think I could press it more than twice, maybe 3 times. But yet I can put it into an alternating weight or weight ladder situation and actually get 20 sets in with it.
Oh,
So
shit.
pushing the strength end of things.
Okay. That's yeah. Like I've seen your post with the sliding singles. I think recently you've been posting a lot about sliding singles.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, I wonder what that is. So I had to ask just because I'm nosy and I want to know everything about
Yeah, no,
stuff.
it's been a great, and I really I wouldn't have come up with it myself. I was happy with traveling twos and not pushing the volume more.
Yeah, of
But
course.
then this came up on the forum, and I was like, and then we were trying to decide what to name it, and well, somebody was like, "Well, just call it traveling ones," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know. We already have a traveling variation,
That's
so how about a one that slides through, so sliding single."
I like that. How long ago was this? It must.
It's a little while. I mean, it might be it's 6 months to 6 to 9 months ago, at least.
Oh no, I'm trying to remember something. Sorry, but thank you for the information. I'm trying. I because I saw this. I saw the traveling twos such a long time ago.
Mhm.
Um, I think it definitely was around 20. It must have been 2018, 2019, where I might still have the original text from. I don't know if you're familiar with Coach Dose here in Southern California.
Mhm.
He sent he sent my mentor Joel something. I don't know. It was an idea like that, and they had traveling twos in there, and I think we tried it with a sandbag complex, and it was awful. So yeah. So now that I'm gonna find that text, and I'll share it with you at some point.
It's awesome.
I have a bazillion texts in my phone, but whatever. Random segue there, but so Coach, what inspired you to revisit and revise the original? Like, what inspired this volume 2?
So, in addition to updating things like some testimonials, people that have been, using the original, Iron Cardio Volume 1, updating, talking more about peripheral versus central cardiovascular adaptations because, yeah, the name is kind of clickbaity, right? Iron cardio, like that.
It
Every time
is
I say that, I think there's an exercise physiologist that their head explodes because they're like, ah, that's not what's
not
happening.
possible.
Not possible. Ah. So which I enjoy. Um, and initially in the first volume, we talked a lot about the volume load and the pressure load of the issue of using strength training or strength training movements as cardiovascular because of the difference in the volume of blood that's coming back to the heart due to the muscle contraction and the more intense contraction of having to push against the pressure of strength training. And I talk about in the original, why I think iron cardio avoids those issues. Um, but expanding out into talking a little bit more about central versus peripheral cardiovascular adaptations, increased stroke volume and left ventricular or cardiac hypertrophy and strengthening and blood flow and function. We know that there's some central adaptations that occur, but from a peripheral standpoint, mitochondrial density, capillarization, fiber type shifts, myoglobin content, fat burning, blah 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 blah. There's a bunch of different peripheral adaptations,
I'm back
and
in class.
exactly. And Pavel talks about this in strong endurance when you look at now cross country skiing. Yeah, your lungs with legs. I mean that's the athlete that does well there. Marathoners, same thing. Your lungs with legs. Tour de France, right? There are sports where VO2 max is super important, and it is a central part of what you're
Yeah.
looking for. For pretty much everybody else, VO2 max does not determine success athletically. It's not that important. Health metric wise, and I know Peter Attia
Yeah.
other folks have really been pushing on this idea of VO2 max as a central thing to keep track of for healthy aging and everything like that. Tool, cool, get it. I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying from a performance standpoint, VO2 max is not the determiner of performance and success outside of very few sports that are pretty much lungs with legs. So these peripheral adaptations are actually more powerful for changing performance in a wide variety of sports. And so there's more to it than just pushing your VO2 max.
Mm.
Now, I also think we should keep some zone 2 work in, and we should definitely be hitting the other end of the spectrum with good, consistent cardiovascular work. Something I need to do better about because I have trouble convincing myself not to do another iron cardio session because I want to press another bell. Um, so it's building out a lot of things like that and talking about what I've learned in the 5 years that I've been doing this and changes like the sliding single. Then I started thinking um, athletically, like how do I get out of this static stance? And so Volume 2 is all about, and I'm making up a number here, but I'm at 371 different permutations of what these athletic movements can be within the iron cardio sequence. And just as an example, when I did one of my first Volume 2 sessions, I had to bell down to a 24 kilo. Um, I found some weak spots
Oh,
or
shit.
areas of opportunity.
There you go.
where I could go lighter and still have a really effective session. And so it's about getting more athletic. It's about getting out of the set symmetrical stance and really experiencing some real athletic movement.
Uh, Um, from these adjustments and like all this, what you just kind of talked about, ha, has there been stuff that's even surprised you? Like you make adjustments sometimes to certain training protocols, and you're like, okay, cool, it's only going to push the needle so much in one direction. But has there been stuff where you're like, oh, what the hell effect like now is over here for me?
Absolutely. And I have a few people that are beta testing the some of these protocols and changes, and I got one guy in particular who is chomping at the bit to be able to talk about this stuff on social media because he's getting results that he just can't believe how this volume 2 iron cardio sort of work is changing his training
Really?
and helping him. Yeah, so it's been interesting to get that. And I on the one hand, I don't consider myself a very creative person, and I think I say that because I can't write a song. I can't, you know, I'm not good at music. Although I used to play a trombone in junior high, um,
That's
and I was
pretty
pretty
sexy.
good. Um, but so I'm not an artist, but this is my medium. Movement and
Yeah.
training is my creative medium, and so it's been really fun to kind of start exploring some of these different movements and how I can take this into different directions.
How, I mean, I don't know how much you can talk about it, but how is this person's training changing? Like, are they getting stronger, faster? Like, what are some of the changes that this person's experienced?
Fat loss, better conditioning,
Really?
and strengthening. You end up pressing from some different positions that we don't
Uh-huh.
typically press from, and that is kind of bulletproofing and strengthening the press in ways that we don't get out of just standard pressing.
Okay.
So and there's some lower body movements in there that just hit uh, the legs differently, different forms of hip extension and knee extension that can load the body and the tendons in a different way. So and it's fun. It's more dynamic. We've
Okay.
known for a long time in teaching the StrongFirst Level 2 athletic drills that anytime if you just go from a standard swing to a sidestepping swing, again, not a linear change, but kind of an exponential change, where
Big time.
introducing that bit of movement into what you're doing, heart rate's up. It's tougher, right? And so you're getting an additional benefit out of just changing that from static to dynamic.
So what I'm hearing is this volume 2 is now getting multiplanar. I love saying that word
Yes,
because it's kind of sexy to say multiplanar.
I it is a good selling point, and typically when we think about that, we think of the getup as being our kind of big multiplanar movement, but there's a lot of other things that we can plug in there, and so this volume 2 is going to be, um, I think it's going to be a lot of fun for folks.
So I guess looking into the future with volume 2 releasing, somebody that's completely brand new to iron cardio, would you recommend they start volume 1 and then volume 2, or can they just like you kind of mix and match?
It's an interesting question. I would probably still recommend volume 1, setting a baseline, understanding your clean, your press, your squat in particular, and just knowing, having a deep understanding of those. I'm over 22, 23 years now of swinging clean and pressing and doing stuff with kettlebells.
Mhm.
And I'm still learning every time I do a session. So if people approached the basics of just wanting to be brutally skilled at executing the basics instead of thinking they need esoteric and multiplanar.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they would take on the new training much better. Um, could you start with volume 2? Yeah, that's one of the tough because one of my things is intuitive training, right?
Mhm.
I think people
Yeah.
would enjoy their training a little bit more if they, it was a little more choose your own adventure sort of things. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people need structure. I have students that I have to put on a clock because otherwise they'll go too fast and push too hard. I don't operate on a clock. And there's certain protocols that I enjoy putting the timer on. It goes ding. I do the thing. Then I rest until it goes ding again. There are times when I really enjoy that style of training. But you can't promote intuitive training and then tell people you're doing it wrong.
Like,
you know,
what are you
out,
doing? You got to follow this
yeah, what are you doing?
intuitively.
You be intuitive my way. Um, Within certain guidelines. And like I said, that 3 to 5 reps per set guideline seems to be proving itself over and over until volume 2, where we're going to break that rule just a little bit because we're getting into some really different movements. And so there's some combos that happen there that I can justify in my own mind breaking that rule because I've done it, and it is effective, but it's because we're changing the protocol.
Interesting. So there's been a lot of stuff added. Did you leave stuff out like moving towards volume 2? Was stuff left out at all because it didn't necessarily transfer over to volume 2, or was it just
So
we added stuff?
meaning, did I leave stuff out of volume 1 anticipating volume 2?
No, I guess did some of the was stuff excluded from volume 2? Like, so if we're looking at volume 1, let me see if I want to phrase this question better. We have volume 1 here on my left side. We have
Yep.
volume 2 on my right side. There's 5 things in volume 1. Did 3 of those things only make it to volume 2, or did everything have carryover to volume 2?
Pretty much everything had to carry over to volume 2.
Okay.
Um, the the fundamentals and essentials are still there. Now we're just taking them into a bunch of different movements. So I think it's going to be fun for folks.
Okay. So besides fat loss and better conditioning strength, what other feedback have you gotten from coaches or people testing this out for you?
Um, that it's fun. It's
It's fun.
fun to be getting into some of these dynamic movements, and for me, it's because I am a meathead, and I'll choose heavier over lighter 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Um, so it kind of just I go lighter because it's required, and even though it's lighter, it's the right weight for those things that I'm
Yeah.
doing. So it helps me balance my training just a little bit more. And I do have to say, like, just doing a few sessions as I started to do it, I'm like, God, I feel, I hate to use the term more athletic, but yeah, I just felt more athletic. I felt like I was moving better and easier, and it's just. And then I tried to go too heavy and found out that there there definitely is too heavy within the volume 2 protocols until you make a change. And I figured out how to go heavier and not suffer the consequences. So yeah, it's been fun.
I love this whole idea of I feel like I'm training more athletically because oftentimes I'll have that conversation with people and they picture like batter ropes on a Bozu ball,
Right.
lateral shuffles just drenched in sweat mixed with a burpee in between. And no, I'm not taking a dig at anybody, but that's what people envision with athletic training. Let's just be straight up about that. But I
Yeah.
I I totally I mean I understand exactly where you're coming from, especially like having a background also in DVRT training.
Hmm.
Shout out to Josh and Jessica.
Yep.
The, the, I started messing around with different positions of exercise, guys. Exercise. This is a fitness fitness podcast here. Um, and I understand how difficult it can be pressing with your feet right next to each other, and then you go into a staggered position. That press is not the same press anymore, right? Just for context, you're in a
Sure.
staggered stand position. You're like, okay, well I can press the 40 kilo overhead 5 times, and my feet are side to side, but let me just change my stance a little bit. Okay, this is not the same press anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's, pressing throughout the getup is another example where you start finding out, the when you can set the stance and be in that old familiar position. Yeah, you can summate your force differently, but when you got to take that different path, it changes things, and there's some benefits to that. Sometimes it's just variety for variety's sake, um, which we tend to try to avoid. But yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to cook this, and it's yeah, it's fun.
I I like this edition of Volume 2 from what I know, because it also, like, I start thinking of these heavy, medium, and light days now. We
Mhm.
use that a lot in StrongFirst, and if you want to follow the intuitive training on cardio style, it's also going to give you more options to now
Mhm.
do that, and you're going to feel less guilty when you're pressing light. And then let's say you're a meathead. Let's pretend you're a meathead who's been training for a very long time and loves to press a heavy bell. Now you're like, okay, cool. This makes sense because throughout my week, this is has to be my light day, but it's still going to be challenging enough because I'm experimenting with different things. And I think also from like a mental standpoint, it's a huge game changer that I don't think people will really be able to digest until a couple months of them messing around with both of these protocols.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that the way it can kind of shore up the and with the DVRT stuff and the stagger stance and the different things that are just creating different loading opportunities. Michelle Dalcourt and the Viper, and talking about
Yeah,
getting into some of these different positions and how the tissue adaptations are encouraged by that change in loading and things. So yeah, a lot of great aspects of doing that from the fundamentals. You can't go too far down that path, and the industry did that a while back when sport specific training became all the rage, and
yeah.
we were trying to replicate sports movements under load, and it's like, yeah, no, that's not something that we need to be doing. Um, so
Oh man, you mean jumping with like a really heavy basketball and doing this really fast? People won't be able to see it because if they're listening to the audio. You mean that doesn't help? What?
it's
I've been.
I know it's confusing, but the yeah, weighted basketballs just ruined a bunch of people's shots
Oh
because it changes the motor pattern of the shot. So
man, that's it's funny. I mean, I was that way when I was younger. And like, you want to get better at X task, well, do it heavier, because then when you're actually in the scenario, you're gonna be so much better. But you actually don't refine your shot. I mean, let's just use basketball for an example. If you're shooting something like a heavier basketball, like what, like, no, dude, no, you're no, like, just stop.
it's a different pattern.
A hundred percent.
So and that's the realization with sporting patterns, golf swing, tennis serve, the a million and one examples that we can draw from. Um, in order to in order to handle the natural movement variability that is inherent in any human movement, when you are trying to do something repeatedly well, like serving a tennis and golf, driving the golf ball, the world's best still miss the fairway 25 to 30% of the time. Um, you can try and make it as perfect as you want and consistent and repeatable as you want. Human movement has variability to it. But when you introduce load, you change that pattern. So now you're not grooving the same pattern. You are grooving a different pattern. And that's not, from an athletic standpoint, that's not what we want.
And Coach, so you've been training for a long time. Where do you see iron cardio sit in, I guess, the broader evolution of your training philosophy? Like, where do you think it sits?
Boy, it's becoming the center of how I train and how I train others. I um, Yeah. And that sounds it's still kettlebells. Now, and some of these principles you could apply towards sandbags, barbells, body weight, it is transferable, but it's really becoming a central um, anchor to how I approach training and how I want to work with people because I have so much faith in what it can accomplish, and really from that long term perspective of building skill, building strength, building health. And I should probably say building health first rather than third,
Yeah,
because the only place fitness comes before health is in the dictionary. Um, you you know, George Hackenschmidt, strength cannot be divorced from health. Um, the that perspective is kind of a change in perspective, and maybe that's just something that comes with challenges like cancer and recovery, or just getting older and realizing that though I'm happy right now training with double 32s and 32, 36 kilo and different things like that. And there'll come a day in time where that's going to become double 24s and the 28. And like, that's just, you know, uh, be Pollyanna to sit here and say I'm going to be doing the same thing I'm doing now when I'm 80. Like,
who knows? Imagine you
maybe,
are.
maybe, maybe, maybe not.
Casually, casually pressing the 56 overhead.
Exactly. At
It's never
80.
mind.
Um,
That'd be sick. It's new goal unlocked, coach. How would you blend? I know there's always this question, like how would you blend iron cardio with other modalities? You know, like endurance training or hypertrophy training. Would you just recommend people use it exclusively, or is there a way in your mind to do it perfectly, right? Where you people do want to get their barbell training and they want to get some iron cardio. How would you recommend people blend that together?
so, couple of things. It absolutely can blend with different things, and that's, I think, if you boil down most FAQ pages when talking about different programs, the most frequently asked questions is, well, how do I combine this with X? So like simple and sinister, 2 to 3 days a week of iron cardio, 2 to 3 days a week of simple and sinister. Mix that ratio to have the emphasis that you want it to have. If you're pursuing sinister, you're going to have the 3 day a week of practicing for sinister, 2 days a week of iron cardio. Barbell training, the biggest concern there is just not overloading the vertical pattern.
Mm,
I'm a little more cautious with overloading the vertical push and pull versus something like squatting or deadlifting. Our capacity, how that stress is spread across the body, is different than the more isolated shoulder work that's occurring in the overhead movements. So, if you were pursuing heavy military press, barbell military press, I would scale back on the iron cardio. I wouldn't be pursuing like military press ladders or using a lot of traveling twos or sliding singles. I would be doing a little bit lower volume overall iron cardio work to not overload that vertical path and pattern for the body. Um, but if you were pursuing a deadlift, as a main lift or zercher, iron cardio blends in very well. Um, and so it's, if you want to do everything, you just don't get to do a lot of everything, right? The problem
true.
becomes when people try to do a lot of everything, and that has a predictable end point. The trifecta of frustration is too much, too soon, too often. Um, and I mean that there's a mindset now in injury, um, we'll call it prevention. Don't freak out. You can't prevent injuries. Yes, I understand that injuries are going to happen, but I think they should be exceedingly rare. But one of the things that can put us into an injury, spiral, is too much, too soon, too often.
Yeah.
We get a little enamored of the volume and the frequency, and we add too much too soon, and tissue adaptation doesn't have a chance to occur, and so problems result. So if you're going to try to do everything, you just don't get to do a lot of everything, and that's fine. Like you just have to be okay with that. Um, I've pursued high volume. I've done low volume, consistent. Like it's all things are possible, but all things are not possible at once.
True. True. Coach, you've been doing seminars, right? Iron cardio seminars. What
I have.
for? You've done what? Like you've done a handful already. I've seen them
Yeah,
online.
I have. I probably three to four. Got one coming up in Costa Rica. Um, and I'm going to lock the doors and take people's cell phones away, and I am going to show them some of the Volume 2 skills and get more people beta testing this. And then
Oh
I'm going
yeah,
to lock all of their social media accounts so they can't post any videos,
I
and
like that.
try to get
Yeah.
that out there. But yeah, the seminars, workshops have been happening, and it's fun to kind of run through it.
Would you ever see this becoming a certification? Like, what are the steps to creating a certification, or is that something you would even consider?
No,
No.
no, I wouldn't. I think that the well, for kettlebells, the only certification that I'd recommend is going through your StrongFirst level 1 and level 2. Um, get a great foundation in the 6 essential moves. Take it to the next level in the level 2. Build your double bell skills and jerk and athletic drills and things of that nature. Um, what you and that's how to coach it, right? So, a lot of some people pursue certification for personal goals, and they're not planning on coaching anybody.
No.
Cool. I I personally would pursue certification in those things because I have an intent on using that to with my students. So, but that's where I recommend certification. Iron cardio would be a way to apply those skills that you learned from those StrongFirst certifications.
So, besides Costa Rica, where else? Because you're going this weekend. Where else are you having or what other times are you having a iron cardio seminar this year?
I don't have any others scheduled this year. I'm teaching the StrongFirst Kettlebell 101 and 201 in Flemington, New Jersey, in June. So that's June 20th, 21st, I think. Um, Link in bio. Um,
I'll put it on there. Guys, sign up. If you sign up in the link, you get 0% off, but you'll be able to sign up for sure, 100%.
that there you go. I love it. It's like
Use
six
my
of one,
code.
half dozen of the other.
Put my name on there. You won't get not anything. It's
Charge you five
promo,
dollars
but
extra.
exactly just for the inconvenience of trying to put a thing in there.
So yeah, that's in scaling back travel and things like that. Last year got a little away from me. This year, I'm a little more focused. But it'll be fun to teach the StrongFirst workshops there. And you know, once I get the Volume 2 out, then maybe look at some more iron cardio workshops.
When is Volume 2 expected to release?
Oh God, um, do do you remember the movie The Money Pit?
No, hold on, let me look it up. Maybe I've seen
Tom
it.
Hanks. Okay, it's an '80s movie. I'm older than you are by a decent amount.
No, I've
Um,
never watched it.
so it's actually worth watching.
Okay.
Um, but so they buy this house. They can't believe the deal they get on it, and it needs work. And so they hire this contractor, and the contractor's answer to anything that needs done on the house is 2 weeks. So now it takes like 6 years to get the house where they want it. But the answer to every question of how long is this particular project going to take? 2 weeks. So my standard answer is 2 weeks, and it could be 2 years
Nice.
from now.
Okay.
Um,
So 2 weeks.
I'm 2 weeks. Uh,
Guys,
those people that are
guys,
old enough to remember the Money Pit are laughing right now.
June
Um,
10th.
exactly.
June 10th, guys.
No way, not happening. Oh God. Um, no, it ballpark 3 to 6 months, probably more towards the 6 month side of
Okay.
things. writing anything, even an ebook, is similar to an IT project. If it ever finishes on budget and on time, that is a unicorn.
Yeah,
Those don't happen. Anybody that's done an IT project knows it is not finishing on budget or on time. Um,
ever.
and the putting a project like a book to bed is can be tough. But yes, working on it, new website, probably going to do a new product with Strong and Fit covering it, and have another push here on the whole Iron Cardio brand.
New website coming up.
Yes, so I got to get it done in the next month. Um,
2 weeks.
Applied Strength has been around for a long time, and Applied Strength will still point towards the new website. But if kind of focusing towards Iron Cardio, so the new website will be theironcardio.com, and I just got to get it done and get it up and running. So that's a whole new learning experience of doing that myself through Squarespace and trying to make it not stink.
If people are trying to contact you to host a seminar, what do people need?
So email wise, it'd just be applied strength, APPLIED strength at gmail.com. Best email to get in touch with me. Social media wise, I do most everything through Instagram. So Brett Jones SFG at Brett Jones SFG on Instagram. Those are the two best contact mediums.
Cool. Yeah, I just I think I'd like to have you come over to coach my team, but then we can talk about that off
Cool.
the air because I don't want anybody to come. And there you'll have full control of just taking people's phones away. Totally fine. I'll
I
write them
love
up. I'll write them up if they don't put them away.
it. A little control is not a bad thing.
Just a little bit. You know what? If you don't turn in your cell phones, you are written up ASAP.
Love it.
If people want to beta test the Iron Cardio 2 coach, can they also reach out to you, or is that you have to invite them? You have to invite them.
I have to invite them.
That sucks for
Yeah,
them.
sorry, dude.
No,
Um,
it's fine.
that would become something that I just
Uncontrollable.
yeah, I have two full-time jobs already. I don't need a third of trying to manage a significant cadre of people testing this stuff. So
Oh my God, the headache this would cause.
yes,
Not.
if you contact me asking, I'm just going to say no. So
Oh God.
there you go.
Can you unsend an email? Because
You're done.
ah crap.
No soup for you. 2 weeks.
Oh man. Shit. I mean, it was worth a try. I had to try it. I had to
Yeah,
try.
I get it. I get it. I appreciate the effort, but denied.
Coach, I'm gonna wrap things up. I want to thank you as always. I'm so grateful of your time, your willingness to just keep sharing and always just being so accessible and just being a great person. Um,
Thank you, sir.
for all of those of you guys listening, if you're looking for a no fluff approach to building strength, that last thing you can do it forever. Look into Iron Cardio. You need to experience it firsthand. You get a bunch of the what the heck effects that StrongFirst talks about all the time. You feel great. You don't feel beat up. You stress less about training because it's if you really do understand where Coach Brett's coming from and you kind of pursue this very intuitively and don't have a quote unquote goal per se, it's the way to go. I will put the link not in the bio but in the description of the podcast, and then once I post it on Instagram, I'll post a link on there so people can go to your website and look at Iron Cardio and all that good stuff. But
Awesome.
Coach, thank you. We're gonna talk about. We'll be on here for Iron Cardio Volume 3, and and we'll be here for I don't know other stuff. We'll talk about other random stuff. I'll make sure to book you for more things.
I'll bring up more movies that you've never heard of before.
We're actually let's do that. Tell me, you have to give me a list of movies. I'm gonna watch them and we're gonna review them. It'll be nothing fitness related. We're just gonna review movies on here.
I love it.
There
Let's
you
do it. Flash Gordon up first.
go. Let me write that up. Flash Gordon, it's on here. Coach, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Chat soon.